Don't like issue Wang part. Sorry about this. Part two. The phone overheated. So not my fault. When I was working at PCT, part two of Spedton, on this 3rd July 2025. Intro, not my forte. So when I was working at PCT, I had a schedule, and it was a job that was very physical, so I was tired. So even then, and this is the crazy part, even then, the fact that I work good hours, the fact that we did 2 hours of content, I still felt like I had a busy day. I still felt like, you know what? Today was a good day. I made a lot, I worked a lot, which is great. Because if she heard me complain about this, the music, the video outside, she'll complain to the janitor will come in. And the janitor, which again is illegal, but he has a tendency to come in the apartment if I don't answer. Because he saw me a couple of times with music. And he's like, okay, well, he's not answering because he didn't hear me. So I'm going to go in because he didn't hear me. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the chain on, so I cannot go in. You can open the door, but cannot open the lock. If I have to do this, I have to do this. So with the PCT, it was more so a question of energy, more so than planning and will, you know? It was more so. And then even then, there's a couple more for Spenton. At PCT, I had social interaction. I was talking to people. I was talking to a lot of people and talking a lot to people. So when I came back home, I didn't have this need of social. I had this need of social, which is a battery. You know that you can't charge more than it 100%. Well, this battery you can overcharge. But not only that, is the fact that I'll need social, so I'll go on social media. And your body has needs. And if those needs are social media, it is social media. It's an addiction, but it's still social media. For example, I'm used to watching an hour of shorts a day. If I don't watch an hour of short, it's gonna feel like my day is missing something. Routine is important. Routine is really hard to do when you have a job that's not stable. You know? And then money has been a big issue. Money has been a big issue because on weeks I work a lot, some weeks I don't work a lot, some weeks I barely work. So whenever I have money extra, I'm always afraid, I'm gonna have to spend it next week. Or whenever I have a week where I work less, I'm like, I'm okay with money because I have savings from last week's paycheck, but I didn't want to use them. I don't think, well, that's not true. I don't think people are spending their paycheck week per week. But that's not true. A lot of people live paycheck per paycheck. A lot of people make bad decisions. You know? I'm one of those people. See, my father and my mom knows I'm broke. They know that I'm having financial difficulty. So this whole thing about the testament, the will, they're not gonna say it, but it's mostly a fear that I'm gonna spend the money and like this. Understand? It's more so like this. It's more so this. And this is bad. This is really bad. Because the reality is, am I good with money? Possibly. I do spend a lot. But then, last year, I spent a lot because it was for content. It wasn't me buying stuff, it was content for you guys. Funko Pop, games, food. Like I used to do, and this is crazy, I used to do one day out of 1 week, once per week, DoorDash. It was $100 every single time. That's $400 per month. That is $4,800 per year. $4,800. You know, that's a lot. But then you don't think about that, you know? And you're like, okay, well, I go to the restaurant once a week. Not that much. Yeah, but if you order like prime steak or if you order caviar, doesn't matter how often you go, it's how much you spend that matters. You're gonna have this person who's buy every single day. They go to the restaurant every single day. And they'll buy a sandwich. That sandwich is $5. They're still spending less than a person that spend $100, right? My parents with the money, they're a bit worried. They think that I'm not able to manage a oh my god. They think I'm not able to manage a budget. But the budget itself is a bit odd. It's a bit odd. Because the budget in itself is more so a case of budget itself is more so a case of, how can I say that? Money. If you're making $100,000 per year, you're gonna have a better budget than if you have 10,000 per year. And then today my father said something that really resonated with me. He said, I don't know. He said, I know you're good with money because he said, I know how much you're making. And he said, which is for him a big compliment. He says, I don't know how you manage per month to survive. So either he thinks I'm selling drugs or he thinks that I'm good with money. But then when you ask him, you say, well, Stefan, you did work a lot in your life. Now the question is, does he see making content as work? If he doesn't see it as making content, all those days and nights of making content are worthless. Now, that's not an excuse because we've been making content for 4 years. I entered the job market at 20, which was 12 years ago. So 4 years is not a lot. But if he doesn't feel like I'm working, even though I am working, then his perception of he's just gonna use the money to chill around and sit on his ass. You know, my mom, she's a bit more aware of. They're very different. My dad values hard work, and my mom values money. But she doesn't value money as in she's a gold digger. She's an amazing woman. But it's more so the case of, are you able to survive every single month? My mom, as long as I survive, she doesn't care. She'll be like, you're able to survive, you're good. And you'll see, my mom, she's more aware of how much time I put in, how much work I put in, you know? But it's just that she's worried that I'm not gonna make it. She's worried that I'm gonna have debt and shit like that. This is a true story. I never told this. My mom was really like, Mama Bear, you guys know that. So when I opened my first account, right? And this is a story that I'm kind of embarrassed to say. I'm really embarrassed to say. I told you this story a lot of times, but I never told you the entire story. You guys remember when I told you the story? Okay, so basically, my mom, she was very Mama Bear, and she had access to my account to deposit money, but also to deposit money, right? But then it was the time I wasn't talking to her because we were in a fight. I was dumb. I need to edit myself because I was hurting people. Blah 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 blah. And then she saw the. You guys remember when I told you the story about the July 2018 when I didn't have enough to pay the rent, and I didn't have enough to pay food. So again, very small recap. It is the 21st, 23rd of. I don't know if it's June or July. I don't remember. 2018. And I'm fucked. I go to pay for my lunch, which is chips and a Coca-Cola or whatever, a energy drink. I don't care. I don't remember. And I do this every single 2 days. Every 2 days we go to the store. Because at the time I don't have Wi-Fi, so we go to the store to get the Wi-Fi. But I go to the store and buy some food, junk food, just to take me today. And then the person at the counter, she looks at me, and I'm at Dorval. You guys saw that? You saw the building too. I showed the building. There's a Walmart, there's a Maxi, and she's like, "Sir, there's not enough money on the card." And I'm like, "No way." So then I'm like, "Holy shit!" And then I told this story multiple times. I'm sorry if you heard the story before. And then I go to fill up a unemployment. So every 2 weeks you get unemployment, you get a check, right? Which is, let's say you make a lot of money at work, the check is gonna be a lot of money. I type in the code and everything. They're telling me you have used all of your weeks. I'm a week away from the rent, and I don't have unemployment. I don't have a job. No, I talked to my janitor. My janitor was really nice. I said, listen, I don't have enough money this month. Can you give me a break? I'll pay you twice next month. And I find a job. Now, the truth is, when I had that job, I wasn't talking to my dad and my mom. I wasn't talking to anybody. And the crazy thing that happened, my mom, she saw that account. And she said that I had like $12 in the account. I had $12 in the account. $12. And she's always keeping that memories. She's always keeping like, oh my God, you remember when you had $12? And she's more so the fact that I got there. She's more so the fact that I didn't care enough to stop it before I got there. But the reality is, both my parents are checking their accounts. They're checking their accounts a lot. So they'll know exactly how much money there is, and they'll check it every single week. I don't care. See, my issue, and again, this is possibly me being a spender. And if it is the case, then I have to come clean and say I do spend. My problem with my money is I never check my account. Because the second I check my account, I spend. So for example, we went to the bank a couple of weeks ago. And I have two accounts. I have one at TD and one with Tangerine. So I realized that I had a lot of money. Well, a lot of money. I had $1,000 in Tangerine. You know the first thing I did? I bought 3 shirts. Now, technically speaking, the shirts weren't expensive. It was like the whole thing. You went there with me. The place where we bought the fake Kinder Bueno. The whole thing was like $100. We don't spend a lot. Then I didn't have energy drinks, so I went to the grocery, convenience store next to my house. Spend again. And I was like, okay, well, you just know that you have money. The first thing that you do is buy. So I like not knowing how much money I have in the bank, because I always think that I have less than what I actually have. And when I think that I have less than what I actually have, then I don't spend. It's a good way to... I was raised like that. I was raised by my father being very cheap. And because I thought it was very cheap, I thought we were broke. I really thought for like the first 16 years of my life, I thought we were broke. Now the reality is I never asked him, do we have money? Because I thought it was taboo. I thought it was rude. I'm like, okay, well, we're broke, so I'm not gonna spend. And then I realized that no, we have money. It's just cheap. I'm like, oh, bro. But I thought it was broke. And because I thought I was broke, I didn't spend. It's kind of funny. This is a true story too. This is crazy. For money, this is possibly one of the craziest story I can tell. Okay, before we start, this was 2011. I had $20 per week for cafeteria. So a meal at the cafeteria cost it was $4.50 or $4.75. So my father was like, hey, no way. Okay. I closed because there's water on the phone. Because this is wet. I had $4.75 per day. The meal was costing that. He said, listen, I want you to be careful. I will give you enough money to eat the whole week at the cafeteria. But it doesn't mean that you have to eat the whole week at the cafeteria. If you keep the money, you can keep the money. This is your pocket money. So if you want to keep the money and buy something nice at the end of the year, you can do it. If you want to do, I don't care what you do. Now, the great thing that he did also was there was always food in the fridge. There was always food. So I had a meal. All I had to do was put it in the thermos. That was pretty much it. That was my meal. And I was so fucking broke. This is an insane story. I didn't spend a penny of the allocation money. Not a penny. Not a. And when I say not a penny, I mean not a penny. I bought video games in grade 11, which is last year of high school. I didn't buy a single thing. And then I was so fucking happy because after 5 years I had. Now the problem is, first grade of high school, $20. Last grade of high school, $20. The price increased at the cafeteria. So at the end, I had like, oh, let's just say I had like 1,500, 1,600. And I was like, I'm fucking balling. I have so much fucking money. And then I started working. I was working at Costco. In 1 month, I did more money than I saved up in 5 years. I was like, why the fuck did I save up? You know? So yeah, it was a cool story too. They're worried about me. They're worried about me spending. And you can never understand that. Am I spending? Of course. I think everybody's spending. Am I spending a lot? I don't know. I don't know it's a lot. But I'm broke, so I'm spending out of my means. And in that case, I have a spending problem. I hate... No, wait. I told you guys that I was doing 24 hours this week, which is the truth. The truth is, I don't know how many hours I'm going to do next week. So let's, for example, right? This week we made... let's say 420, 450. Which is great. This is good money. If next week I don't work, then this week we didn't make 420, 450. We made 220 because, well, 25. Because we didn't work this week. So salary is divided by 2. At 450 per week, I can easily take care of everything. Easily, I'll have money left because that's 1,700 per month. No, that's 1,450 per week. That's 1,800 per month. I need about 900 to live. But then, at the same time, if I don't work, then all the things that I'm doing are not good. And it's also worrying because you're like, I didn't even get my paycheck yet. But I know that I didn't work last week. So I'm like, I know it's not going to be big. So you create this mentality of, I don't have enough. It is stressful, you know? This is stressful. That's pretty much it. Anyway, I'm spread thin. This is why we're not doing as much as we used to do. I'm still trying to be healthy. Still trying to do this in a way of, oh man, I'm not exaggerating. Oh man, I'm not doing X, Y, Z because I can do X, Y, Z. I'm like, what do you feel comfortable doing? If you feel comfortable doing X and Y, that's okay. And it's a lot more healthy. My view of content creation is a lot more healthy. Today, we did 9 hours of content. We didn't work. 9 hours enough? Absolutely. We'll do another 3 hours for the mobile game. That's more enough. That's more enough. You just have to convince yourself that, hey, bro, you did good. Stop, you did good. That's the hard part. What for people I'm laying down? That's a problem. Anyway, I love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.